Today we're going to be talking about the only true way to avenge and revenge the narcissist. So if you've been searching around the internet, listening to podcasts about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, how to get revenge on a narcissist, doesn't everybody want to get revenge on a narcissist who's lied to you, who's cheated on you, who smeared your name? It's a natural response to want to push back when someone pushes you. It's a natural response when you begin to realize that you've been stalked online, or you've been lied about behind your back, or that there have been a bunch of flying monkeys in your experience and you didn't even know that these people were flying monkeys. It's very natural to want to push someone back. It's very natural when you begin to realize that you've been living with someone who has no interest in meeting you halfway, who, when you start to realize, wait a minute, this is stonewalling, or wait a minute, this is projection, or wait a minute, this is shift blaming, wait a minute, this is gaslighting, wait a minute, this is psychological abuse, wait a minute. You know, I'm addicted to the narcissist's approval, and I think that they know it. I think they enjoy me chasing after their love. You know, when you start to realize that you've been dealing with someone who is narcissistic, and your mind starts to process what's happening, especially when there's been infidelity, especially when there's been pathological lying, if there's been cheating or the narcissist has had a double life. When you start to come out of the fog of narcissistic abuse, it's very natural to have this angry response and to want to push back. But it's important to remember a few things about a narcissist that make pushing back really not the best way to approach this. And chances are you've seen videos and you've listened to podcasts where creators are asking you not to avenge a narcissist, and they share with you their opinions about how to get revenge on a narcissist, and depending on who you're listening to, you know, that will really dictate the information that you get. I wanted to throw my hat in the ring and share my experience with how I ultimately got what I believe was the ultimate revenge on a narcissist, and the experiences that I had after that really allowed me to maintain my power and control over my life and improve my life. So a couple of things that you have to remember about a narcissist is that a narcissist doesn't have the same sense of community or empathy that healthy people have. What does that mean? So a narcissist might understand empathy cognitively, but they don't have the type of empathy experience that healthy people do. So they don't have the same emotional response to when someone is hurt. And so when they say something to you that hurts you, or if they cheat on you, or if they're blasting you on Facebook after the discard, right? They don't have the same emotional response that a healthy person would, which is why they're able to cross that line. So a lot of people don't cross this, invisible line because they know what it would feel like if they were the person on the receiving end of that blast or that abuse. And that really helps us stay civilized. And so we don't say certain things to people. We don't expose certain truths about people. We don't harass people online because we have the ability to imagine how that would feel. And because we have that emotional response, even though we might not like this person, even though we may have had a tremendous falling out with this person, even if this person has hurt us, there's a line that a healthy person just doesn't cross that a narcissist will cross. So when we're talking about avenge or revenging a narcissist, it's really important to keep that in mind. Do you know someone, lots of people know this person, I know people like this, but do you know someone in your life that you would absolutely never pull a prank on? Someone that you know that if you pulled a practical joke on them, they would get you back and it would be 100 times worse. So you don't joke around with them. You don't prank them, right? You don't do prank calls on them because you already know this person's coming for you. This person, whatever you put out there, they're going to top it. So you don't get into that arena with that person. It's sort of like that with a narcissist. You want to hurt a narcissist? The narcissist is going to be able to hurt you 1,000 times worse than you could ever hurt them because they don't have the same, they don't have the same ability to hold themselves back from crossing that line that a healthy person has because they actually have an empathic response. They actually have an emotional response to someone else's pain. So because the narcissist doesn't have that saddle, if you think about a horse, right, you're able to guide a horse with whatever these things are in the horse's mouth. I forgot the name of them, but you know what I mean. You're able to navigate a horse and keep a horse in check, you know, with the saddle, and you can hold the horse back. So that's sort of what empathy does for a healthy human being. It prevents us from hurting our brothers and sisters in humanity. It also allows us to help people when they need help. When 9/11 destroyed America, right? I'm a New Yorker. I saw the worst of humanity, but I also saw the best of humanity. So the empathy also allows us this emotional reaction we have to these people who lost their lives, to these people whose families were affected, right? All of them, because we have this emotional response and we can imagine what it feels like to be these people, it helps us take care of one another. It's really important. You have to be careful when you want to hurt a narcissist, when your mind goes to that place where I'm going to get them back, because they're not going to have the same ability to hold themselves back from crossing that line that a healthy person does. It's really, really important. Really important. So when you're thinking about taking revenge on a narcissist, you have to understand what a narcissist wants the most. A narcissist really works off intimidation. It's the fear that you're not good enough. It's scarcity. I'm going to leave you. Open your mouth again. I'm going to leave you. Keep talking like this. We're going to get a divorce. You want me to walk out that door? You want me to cheat on you? You want me to cut you off financially? You want me to cut you out of the will? You want me to go to your boss and tell them what you're really like? You want me to expose you to our friends and tell them what you really like behind closed doors? It's this scarcity. It's this fear that you're going to lose something. It could be the love of the narcissist that the narcissist has worked very hard at getting you to become addicted to. Your brain is now psychologically addicted, chemically addicted to this experience and even to the narcissistic abuse cycle. So there is this psychological thing, this biological and chemical, vibrational, spiritual, emotional, and cognitive addiction process that is truly taking you over below the veil of consciousness. That's why I always talk about living either above the veil of consciousness or below the veil of consciousness. Consciousness happens in layers. We can be highly conscious right now. We can take out the vacuum in 15 minutes and start vacuuming. We've vacuumed 1,000 times before, or depending on how often you vacuum. You can vacuum lots of times before, and you don't really need to be highly conscious for that job. And so your level of consciousness lowers. And what happens? All of a sudden your mind is thinking about things you're not really in control of. It's just these thoughts are seeping through the subconscious mind. And if you're not careful, you will be unaware that you're not very conscious, and the aspect of your personality, the ego, will play with these ideas and run with them. Run with them, even though you're not in control of them. And so healing from narcissistic abuse and not getting caught up in a narcissist's pattern and cycle of abuse is really aided by your ability to raise your level of awareness and raise your level of consciousness so that you're not reacting to the fear. So a narcissist wants you afraid, essentially. A narcissist wants to intimidate you. A narcissist is working very, very carefully at creating phrases that make you think that there's something wrong with you, right? So there's fear behind that. Oh man, maybe I am crazy. Or maybe he is right, or maybe she is right, or maybe I am negative, or maybe it is my childhood. I really don't have a great relationship with my mother, so maybe this is why I'm insecure. And I was cheated on in the last relationship, so maybe that's why I don't trust him now. So it's the fear that you're crazy. So think about it. A narcissist is really working off your fear. That's a source of narcissistic supply. In the beginning of the relationship, the supply was you adoring them, you letting them control you, you chasing after their adoration of you, you becoming addicted to them wanting to know everything about you, you feeling seen, right? So they lift you up, they get you hooked, and then they start to slip. And then the little comments start like, you're eating that again? Oh, I thought you were going to join a gym. Or did you really just say that? All these little remarks start to happen that make you wonder, am I losing his affection? Am I losing her affection? Oh no, does she not like me anymore? What is that? That's fear. That's scarcity. The mind is always going to respond more strongly to losing something, to this negative emotion. And so a narcissist uses that to their advantage. And so when we're talking about taking revenge on a narcissist, you have to keep that in mind, that their goal is to make you live in fear. And it takes time because you have to face your internal fears. You have to become more and more conscious of what it is that you're actually afraid of. The ways that helps me think about this idea about how to get the ultimate revenge on a narcissist is, I imagine a narcissist as a fire. And fire needs oxygen to burn. So fear is like oxygen with a narcissist. We can talk from now until forever, until the end of time, as to about why a narcissist is a narcissist. You know, is it biological? Is it environmental? Is it, due to the way a person is raised? Is it overpraise? Is it discard of a parent's love? What's going on? Is it some brain issue? Why are people narcissists? Is it society? Is it social media? What's happening? We can have that discussion, and we can have this discussion forever. But I think what we need to focus on are some basic facts. And once you understand these ideas, it's so much easier to disengage. When you first meet a narcissist, you don't really understand that they're not about team, they're not about a community, they're about me, myself, and I, period. I am all about self-love, but self-love not if it means that I can't love anyone else. So a narcissist loves themselves. A narcissist loves themselves and has no love for anyone else. Not the type of love that allows growth, that allows vulnerability. It's the type of love that I will keep you around as long as you're good for me, and as long as you're able to be there for me, and as long as you don't take anything from me. So it's sort of like an exchange. It's like a business arrangement with a narcissist. And so when we understand that narcissists lack empathy, they're not completely void of empathy. They may even feel guilty about something that they've done, but they quickly resolve it. Some of the things that I've seen people do is they resolve this guilt by saying, yeah, but she deserved it. Or, yeah, I shouldn't have done it, but you know what? I remember when she said this, that. When you're a healthy person and you do something that you're not proud of, you might not immediately recognize that it's something you shouldn't have done. You might, have this natural defense to whatever happened, but in time you think about everything. And if you've done something and you feel guilty for it and you have processed it and you recognize you shouldn't have done it, then you say you're sorry, and this guilt helps you not do it in the future. So you're actually becoming a better and better version of yourself all the time. Not so when we're talking about a narcissist. Narcissists generally don't change. Studies are proving that they're resistant to therapy, that they're argumentative in therapy, they think they're smarter than the therapist, and they don't last in therapy long. They quit in most cases. And so when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, let's try to keep in mind that a narcissist doesn't have the same sense of community, same sense of we're a team. It's all about the narcissist. So and they don't have the empathy. So in other words, like they're going to cross that line. So if you're going to play dirty with the narcissist, they're going to win. It's just like I said earlier, like everybody has that friend that you know that you just don't joke around with. Don't pull a prank on that person, because they're going to pull out all the stops to like get you back and get you back even worse. So I made a list and I wanted to share it with you. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to smolder this fire. A narcissist is like a fire. A fire needs oxygen to burn. We're going to see that fear is that oxygen, and control is another form of oxygen, intimidation. All of this lends to the narcissist supply, the narcissist seeking supply from us, right, or from you. And so let's talk about some of the things that we can do to get the ultimate revenge on a narcissist that's going to allow you to set yourself free and to really hold your power. When you're able to let go and you're no longer attached to what the narcissist says, you're no longer reacting out of fear, you're no longer checking on the narcissist, you're no longer worried about what the flying monkeys are saying, you're no longer worried, you're no more attached, right? You're non-attached. And this is really what we're trying to go for. We want to be able to hold on to ourselves in spite of what's happening around us. To get to a point where once we recognize that we're dealing with narcissism, that we basically say, namaste, I see it, I get it, and we detach from it. And we don't want what's happening outside of us to affect us anymore. I recognize how hard it is. You have a narcissistic family, you go no contact, it's the holidays, it's the birthdays, it's your birthday, it's your kid's birthday, it's your niece's birthday, whatever. You know, and narcissistic families, they can become like a cult. They can become like gang. They have this gang mentality, you know, where mom is the cult leader, or mom is the, you know, the wicked witch, and the siblings and the cousins and the aunts and the uncles become flying monkeys. It's so daunting when that's your family. Talk about abandonment trauma and feeling rejected. You know, it's tough. The goal, however, is to be able to make peace with that, because you're protecting yourself and you're not in the spirit of anger and hostility, although there's something to be said. This comes up in my coaching group sometimes on occasion, where people say to me, Lisa, please don't ask me to let go of my anger, because it's the only thing that's keeping my nose above the waterline. I get it. In that situation, by all means, you might have to hold on to your anger. The anger is allowing you to say, push back, mom, push back, dad. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you have to say. I was there for a while. It's like Melody Beattie talks about the pendulum swinging to the other side, where I was, you know, I walked around with my tail between my legs. You know, I didn't say much at the kitchen table with my family. You know, I was afraid that they might say something. I knew that they had these ridiculous opinions of me, and I was afraid if I opened my mouth that I was going to get jumped on. I mean, my shoulders just came up, right? I didn't even realize it was happening, but this is the way I used to live, you know, with my family members. And so when my life fell apart, and I have to work at relaxing my shoulders, when my life fell apart, I got divorced, and my family, they turned on me. This is not me playing the victim. This is just a fact, okay? When they walked away from me and basically told me, we're not going to be there for you. We think it's you. We don't think it's him. Well, they became flying monkeys. And that's when I was like, I'm done. So the pendulum went from walking around with my tail between my legs to, you know what, you guys can all scratch, you know what, and leave me the heck alone. I need to take care of my kids, and I need to survive. And your negativity is bringing me down. I could hardly breathe right now. And so I held on to the anger, and that really helped me stay safe. So I get that. Hopefully, if you're in this space and you're hearing this message, what you're hearing me say is the anger is valid. The natural desire to want to take revenge on a narcissist, even that's valid. But it's not going to work out well. And the ultimate goal, although it's not the goal for everyone, because there are some people that absolutely need to hold on to that anger, depending on what happened in their life. What happened in their life will dictate whether or not they need to hold on to anger, maybe forever. And that's not for me to judge. That's not for you to judge. That's for us to accept that that's where that person is and that's what that person needs. However, there are people who want to and feel that part of their process, which is necessary, is to release anger and to live a non-attached life to what's happening outside of them. Perhaps you even may recognize that a narcissist and the experience with a narcissist can teach you something about non-attachment. It can teach you about not attaching to things outside of you that you can't control, like what someone else thinks about you, like putting your sense of self outside of you, which is something that you can't control. This is never a good goal. This is what codependency is all about. Needing someone else to validate me so that I feel good about myself. A codependent will rescue. A codependent will people please. A codependent is very agreeable. A codependent in most cases lives in denial. A codependent does not know what she feels or what he feels. Attract people who are generally bullies, who have high narcissistic traits, who are self-centered, who are demanding, who are critical, and the codependent struggles with the sense of self and fawns and enables this toxic situation and manages the emotions of the narcissist rather than understanding what's really happening to them, the consequence and what they're losing in this relationship. So they're managing the emotions of the narcissist in lieu of taking care of themselves. A lot of codependents don't even realize they're doing that. They don't end relationships. This is a problem. And so you might be someone who's realizing that, oh, wow, I'm at a point in my life where I'm realizing that I don't need other people's approval to have a sense of self, that I am enough just as I am. I might have things to work on. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I'm a work in progress. And I have certain challenges, and maybe I do need to work on certain things. Personally, I think we all do. We all have to work on ourselves. That's the whole purpose of being here, becoming better versions of ourselves. Not better versions of ourselves so we feel better than other people, right? Just better versions of ourselves. And I'm not talking about the way that we look. I'm talking about the way that we show up in our lives. Are we being authentic? Are we authentic with other people? What are we doing with our life? That's what I'm talking about. So maybe you're someone who's realizing like, wow, this relationship has taught me that I really need to worry more about what I think about me than what other people think about me. Be careful of social media. Social media is designed to get you to worry about what people think about you. So be careful. Be very, very careful how you use it. Be very, very careful about social media reinforcing your sense of self. No bueno. That's not good. Pay attention. The last thing that you want is to have a codependent relationship with Instagram, a codependent relationship with Facebook. The last thing you want. So be careful about that. But let's say you're someone who's realizing like, wow, I can use this relationship to my advantage because it can help me realize where my attachments are. It can help me recognize what I'm giving my power over to. It can help me realize where I am codependent. It can help me realize where I place other people, the value of what other people think about me over the value of what I think about me. I had a coaching session recently with someone who told me that her husband hated the people at this club, but they were rather uppity, and he wanted to be part of the uppity crowd. So even though he couldn't stand these people, he pretended to be like these people. And even though he was a narcissist, he fawned and he love-bombed these people so that they accepted him. So this feeds his narcissism. And this is the way narcissism works, right? He became able to convince these people he was one of them. Now he thinks he's better than other people because he's part of the in crowd, right? It's nonsense. So a narcissist is very much addicted and reliant to what's happening outside of them. So a healing codependent, or anyone who has been kicked out of this narcissistic abuse cycle, has the ability to look at it that way. Wow, the narcissist is attached to the matrix in this dysfunctional way. The narcissist is attached to me, stalking me, threatening me, Flying monkeys, investigating my Facebook page and my LinkedIn profile, talking to my boss, writing negative reviews. The narcissist is actually attached to me. Look at this. And all of their flying monkeys, you know. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to resonate with this energy anymore. That very much helped me when I was recovering from codependency. It helped me realize, oh, Lisa, what are you attaching to? When I heard that this was being said and that was being said and that was being written or whatever it was like, okay, wow, you just had a very strong emotional reaction to something that you can't control. Can you let these people think what they want to think without jumping in? That was challenging. And so I also had to learn to do that in my first marriage. When my first marriage fell apart, I had this locker room moment where back in the day I had a flip phone and I got bombarded with text messages. I mean, you're nothing, you're this, you're that, all these horrible names that I was called. And ordinarily I'd be like, oh God, again another text message, and I want to go back, right? Like, this is ridiculous. What's wrong with you? I'm at work. I got to put food on the table for the kids. You can't keep harassing me. This is ridiculous. And I would try to convince this person that what he was doing was wrong. And one day it just hit me. You got to let go. You got to let go. The greatest revenge I got on my ex-narcissist was closing the phone. I went shutty. I went silent. Crickets, crickets, crickets. The text messages still came. The email still came, but I decided to not respond. I realized that my response to the narcissist was the oxygen that was fanning the flames. And so the best revenge, and sometimes it takes a while for them to let go, but the best revenge that you can give someone who wants you to pay attention to them, that you know is a narcissist, is to ignore them. And to work on your fear level and to not allow the narcissist to throw you into fear. So I wrote a list, so let's get to the list. The first thing that you want to do is you want to withdraw any contact that you have with them. So that means that you go no contact, right? And you block them. You block them on WhatsApp. You block them on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Wherever you can block the narcissist, you have to block them. And they also think you should consider blocking their flying monkeys, because flying monkeys are enablers, okay? Flying monkeys absolutely will come out of the woodwork. They'll call you up, how you doing, right? How are you? They just want you to start talking about the narcissist. Why? So they can turn around and go tell the narcissist what you said about them. This whole interaction is about narcissistic supply. So be careful about who you talk to, especially when you're going no contact, because a flying monkey is coming for you. In most cases, the narcissist is going to send out their feelers, right? These little parasites. And the narcissists will send out these flying monkeys and use them to get information from you, okay, about your status, about where you work, whatever's going on, okay? So it's important that you think about that. So do not speak to the flying monkeys. Don't speak to anyone associated with the narcissist. Be very careful. A flying monkey could be in your office. A flying monkey could talk to your boss. A flying monkey could talk to someone that you know on Facebook. They can infiltrate your Facebook friends and they could start trying to talk to them about you. Oh, I was so concerned about Stacy. I heard her and Mark broke up. You know, I just want you to know that I'm here for her. Please let her know that I'm here for her. And your other friend just starts blabbing to this flying monkey about your relationship status, about what's going on with you. So be careful. Make sure that anyone that you trust knows, do not speak to anyone about me, ever, ever. Anyone starts snooping around talking to you about me, you let me know. And for the record, I don't want you giving any personal information about me to anyone. That must be understood. Sometimes you have to go that far. So return their items. So I don't say pack their stuff up in a car and drop it off at their house. That's not what I'm saying. You pack it up, you send it to them in the mail, return receipt requested, or you have someone else return it. I had one client who got a locker for a month a warehouse unit for a month, put the stuff in there, and then sent this person an email and said, you have 30 days to go pick up your stuff. I paid for the storage unit. If it's not cleared within 1 month, I'm not paying for the unit anymore. Signed, notarized statement to this person, so that in the event that the narcissist turns around and says, she put all my stuff or he put all my stuff in this unit and the unit cleared it out. Oh, no, dear one. You were notified. You knew where it was, okay? I would also check your state laws, because sometimes there's some finicky laws where you're not allowed to move someone's property out of your home, especially if they live there. So please check with your local authorities when it comes to moving the narcissist stuff, which has energy, out of your home. So be careful about that, okay? You may need to disengage from groups that you belong to. So let's say you and your narcissist went to the same yoga class, or you went to the same painting class, and the narcissist was friendly with these other people. You might need to disengage completely from that yoga class or that painting class. You might need to find a completely different yoga class. Remember, what we're trying to do is create this lack of oxygen when it comes to the narcissist. So if you think about all the tentacles or all the cords that a narcissist has had to your personal life, you want to starve the narcissist of this oxygen or of these lifelines. So you might need to go join a different group and find a different community of people that don't include these flying monkeys. Flying monkeys can be like a gang member. They see the narcissist as their leader, and they can take on this cult-like or gang-like mentality when it comes to the person who has fallen out of the narcissist's graces. So that might be something that you need to think about, right? The best advice I can give you if you want to take revenge on a narcissist is to end the relationship as quickly and as swiftly as possible, and to not answer text messages. If you're in the middle of a divorce, you have an attorney, have your attorney handle whatever needs to get handled with your narcissist's attorney. If things are going on with the kids, you don't have to have, well, it depends on the age of the children, but if you have children that are old enough where you don't have to have any interaction with the narcissist whatsoever, make sure that your children know that it's inappropriate for their other parent to talk about you, especially in a negative way, and they have the right to say, I'd rather not discuss mom, or I'd rather not discuss dad. Allow them to set a boundary. So if you're going to talk poorly about mom or poorly about dad, I'd rather go home. Now, it's another session, because we can talk about where this conversation goes when a teenage child sets a boundary with the narcissistic parents. My son was left in the street a number of times, as was my daughter, when they confronted their dad. Literally, he asked them to leave, get out of the truck, because my son, I was dating someone at the time, and he bought my son a hero after football practice. My ex-husband came to pick him up, and when my son got in the car and said, he said to my son, where'd you get the hero from? And my son told him, mom's boyfriend, and my ex-husband actually kicked him out of the truck. So, and my son, 16 years old, was crying that his dad rejected him and put him out of the truck and refused to spend time with him on their scheduled visitation. And so that's another conversation to have. But when we're talking about how to take revenge on a narcissist, let's say in that situation, the worst thing I could have done was call him up and harass him, and tell him what a horrible father he was, because that's what he wanted. He kicked my son out of the car. He hurt my son because he was so immature. And he took the fact that I was dating and the fact that this man bought my son a hero after football practice, he took it so personally, that he had to hurt my son and reject my son and hope that it hurt me as well. And it did. Of course, it destroyed me that my son was 16 years old and crying because his dad kicked him out of the car. That's a terrible thing to do to a child, right? Reject them like that. Over what? Why? We're divorced, and this is what happens when people get divorced. They move on. But the worst thing that I could have done was to call my ex-husband and represent to him and give him the benefit of me falling apart and being so hurt that he could do this to our child. He did not have the empathy for our child that I have. What will happen sometimes too in a relationship with the narcissist is you start to think that you're the crazy one because they seem so okay all the time. And you end up being the one that's complaining all the time. You're the one that's like going into therapy. They're like, I don't know why you're so upset. I'm happy. You need therapy, go into therapy, Lisa. I don't feel crazy. You feel crazy. Obviously, you're the unhappy one. You're the one with anxiety, so you should go into therapy. The narcissist is happy as a pig in the mud. Nothing's wrong because in their head, they're never wrong. In their head, you're wrong. In their head, you're less than them. They're not interested in meeting you halfway. So they don't have any really conflicts. They don't have any conflicts. You have the conflict because you're trying to meet them halfway and you're bumping up against a rock and you're frustrated. And psychologically, you're thinking that you should be on the same page, but the person you're dealing with has no interest in being on the same page, right? So they feel okay. That's why I think the statistics on NPD are so low, because in order to be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, your life has to feel pretty dysregulated. And my experience, both professionally and personally, is that narcissists really don't feel dysregulated. They think that they're perfect. They think everybody else is the problem. So unless a narcissist gets to a point where they feel like their life is unmanageable, or they start to realize they're really having some serious problems with people and relationships, they don't seek therapy. Everybody else around them needs therapy. Their kids, even the dog needs therapy. I mean, the birds, the fish, everybody needs therapy but the narcissist, right? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And so the worst thing that you can do when a narcissist lashes out, especially if they hurt your children, is to let the narcissist know just how much your children were hurt and you were hurt by the fact that they hurt your children. And so my best advice, although I know it's not easy, is to learn how to have that locker room moment, have that flip phone moment where you just go, no more, I'm done. I'm not going to respond. I'm not giving you oxygen. Even if I am upset, I'm going to be upset in the bedroom. I'm going to go take a bath. I'm going to go journal about it. I'm going to talk to my therapist about it. Or I'm going to talk to my life coach about it. I'm going to go to a support group. I am not letting the narcissist know just how upset I am about this situation. And so that really is the best way to avenge and take revenge on a narcissist. The ultimate revenge is really to move forward in your life and to be happy in spite of the narcissistic relationship. If you're like most people and you've come from dysfunctional backgrounds and your relationship history is colorful and you've attracted more than one narcissist in your life or more than one problematic, especially cluster B personality, which I have done my whole life until I was 45 and met my husband, Anthony. If you're like me, you're not going to have an easy time of relationships if you come from a dysfunctional background, and that's because of the subconscious patterns. That's because we are trying to heal from the past. And so if rejection was part of our past, we may be someone who is trying to recreate or at least heal the past through this repeat experience. So we are in relationships with people who reject us, and the little inner child in us is thinking, this time I'm going to get it right. This person that I love so much is ultimately going to see me. I'm going to finally be able to get through to them, and I'm going to feel like I'm good enough. And finally, I'll have that bonding experience that I've always wanted, I've craved my whole life. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because the hole in you attracts a person with a hole in them. The difference is a narcissist will exploit your wounds and take from you, whereas people who are more codependent will give to the narcissist and have empathy for the narcissist. They will not cross the line and they will stay stuck rather than set a boundary. These are relationship dynamics to ultimately be aware of. It's also important to note that you don't have to be a codependent to manifest a difficult, dysfunctional relationship. Narcissists are very clever. They are con artists, whether it's a female narcissist who uses her sexuality and her looks primarily to lure men in or to lure partners in, or it's a narcissistic man who is really very charismatic and concerned about his success in the world and having other people think he's all that. It doesn't matter. When you're dealing with a narcissist, they can be very charming, and their personalities can be fun when you first meet them because they're so confident, they're so secure with themselves in most cases. I'm not talking about a vulnerable narcissist. A vulnerable narcissist hooks you in with the woe is me story, but a charismatic, confident narcissist, they're fun to be around, and it could really get you excited. And so you can get hooked and you can get bonded with someone that you believe really is this person that they represent themselves to be. And it will be awesome for a while, right? The relationship will be exciting. It'll be awesome, right? You'll feel seen. It'll be amazing. It'll be romantic. But in time, you'll notice that when the narcissist starts to get bored with you, when they can't, it's like they're coming down, right? Like, I don't want to idealize her anymore. You know what? I saw this little hair coming out of her nose. Like, I'm totally turned off by her. Like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, what? The narcissist doesn't have hair in their nose? I think not. Pray tell. Of course they do. But it just takes the slightest thing for a narcissist to be bored with you. And once they're bored with you, that's when they start putting you down. That's when they start to devalue you. And eventually, they'll discard you. Unless they keep you around while they're gaining sources of narcissistic supply outside of them, right? Outside of the relationship. But these are things that we need to be aware of. And when you're in the throes of a narcissistic relationship, you're caught up in this addictive cycle. You're caught up in the trauma bond. You're caught up with being afraid that the narcissist doesn't like you anymore, or afraid that the narcissist thinks you're crazy, or you're afraid that you're crazy. You know, this person is so awesome and so charismatic, and you don't want to lose, you know, your experience with him or with her, because what are you going to lose then? You lose all these amazing people the narcissist knows. So it's the fear again. It's the scarcity that's going to trigger you. It's going to be the halo effect that convinces you that this person's awesome, that creates a cognitive bias in you. And then you're going to end up having cognitive dissonance, and then go into backwards rationalization and pain versus pleasure and fear. You're not going to want to lose what the narcissist has represented, especially if the narcissist has spent a lot of time creating this false fantasy, this future fantasy where things are going to be great between the two of you, right? Now you have to let go of that too. This is not easy stuff to pull yourself away from. But I just hope that this session where we're talking about what's the best way to revenge a narcissist and avenge a narcissist is really to withdraw, is to take the oxygen away from them and to focus on yourself and to learn how to disengage with flying monkeys, to learn how to be okay that for a time you're going to spend time in the hot seat where flying monkeys are going to be drunk on their narcissism, and their egos are going to be inflated because they're able to gain graces with the narcissist, and so they're going to run back to them. And so there's going to be a time where you're going to have to sit in the hot seat, and it's going to be really, really uncomfortable. But if you can go non-resistant, if you can be non-resistant to this hot seat experience, if you can see this as an opportunity for you to be less codependent and less reactive to people that you can't control, it might help you see the value of the sacrifice. The sacrifice is not reacting to things you can't control. The sacrifice is really understanding where you are and what you've been through, and recognizing that holding on to yourself, blocking them on social media, moving if you have to move, getting your phone checked, disengaging from the monkeys, setting up boundaries with family, blocking everything on social media that you think is private and no one should know about, keeping everything about you sacred. That's the sacrifice that you make in order to be free. The ultimate revenge on a narcissist is you recovering and you getting to a point where in spite of what happened, and in spite of all of these negative experiences, you manifest a loving relationship anyway. It's possible. The more you heal, the more possible that becomes. In life, one of the greatest lessons that you can take away is that you have to learn how to control and accept what you can control and to let go of what you can't control. Your energy must go towards things and situations and experiences that you can rationally and logically control. Can you control whether or not you block that person? Absolutely. Can you control whether or not this person talks smack about you online? No. Can you control whether or not the flying monkeys try to speak to you? Well, it depends on what you're willing to do. Are you willing to block them? Then you can control whether or not they can get in touch with you. Can you control bumping into someone at a yoga studio that is a flying monkey? No, you already bumped into them. Can you control whether or not you talk to them? Yes. Can you control whether or not they go back to the narcissist and talk crap about you? No, you can't. Those are things that you can't control. But if you make a list, get your notebook. I make lists all the time. Make a list. What can I control versus what I can't control? Then you be very, very smart. Okay? Live above the veil of consciousness. Remember, a narcissist lives below the veil of consciousness. They're reacting to the ego. They're very dense. They're part of the physical plane, right? And they don't resolve this stuff in this lifetime. They stay in this dense body. And so if you want to no longer be on the same vibrational plane as a narcissist, then you have to live above the veil. So that means that you have to think logically and cognitively and rationally. And one of the best ways that you can do that is literally think about what you can control versus what you can't control. And flow all of your attention and all of your focus towards what you can control. So that means you recognize that this is going on, but your eye is here. You can still hear it, right? You can steer, but your eyes are here. It's focused on what you can control. And if you keep going, the narcissist is going to run out of steam. And the narcissist, it's sad, but the narcissist will find other sources of narcissistic supply. But you can only control what you can control. And your power is in inner child work, is in recovery, is in codependency healing, codependency recovery, is in moving in a direction that really speaks to who you are in an authentic way. You cannot have an authentic relationship with a narcissist because they don't have the ability to be authentic and to be real with you or to be fair with you. And so it's time to make a bucket list. It is time to set goals. It is time to understand what you need to sacrifice in order to get where you want to get. You're going to spend time in the hot seat, but I can tell you that in time, if you focus more on what you can control, this will start to fade away. Do what you have to do to set yourself free. Know that the narcissist is going to act like a 2-year-old. Know that the narcissist is going to want to pull you in the mud. Just refuse to take the bait. Don't argue with the narcissist. Don't fight with the narcissist. And whatever you do, don't panic. Make sure that you understand that their fuel is your fear. Work on focusing on what you can control, and guess what? You're going to have less fear in your life, and you're going to have less narcissism in your life too. Namaste, everybody. My name is Lisa Romano, the Breakthrough Life Coach and best-selling author. And if you'd like to listen to one of my books for free, all you have to do is click one of the links in the description box. If you would like to participate in my 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program, I now have 2 versions of the class. I have an on-demand version that you can register for at half off, and you can begin immediately. Or you can wait for a live launch in which I moderate the class myself along with a team of life coaches. The choice is yours. Namaste, everybody. I bow to the love and the light that is absolutely in you. And remember, if all you do in this lifetime is find your light and learn to let it shine, as hokey pokey as it sounds, that will be enough. Our job is to better and better and better and better ourselves each and every day. So that doesn't mean we're looking for perfection. We understand that we're a work in progress. We understand that it's our job to focus on ourselves and to do what we can to become the best version of ourselves. And as we do that, we learn to love ourselves more in a more fair and authentic way. And guess what? We're able to love others in a more fair and authentic way too. It's a win-win. Namaste, everybody. Until next time. Be careful out there, and don't forget to think. Bye for now.
If you love this content, check out the next video, and don't forget to click the link below so you can take the codependency quiz.
There are plenty of narcissists who are chameleons and who will treat people on the outside better than they do their own family.